So, hello. Today we're going to look at this gorgeous Mamiya RB67 or 67 as they say today, ProS film camera, medium format film camera. We're not going to dive deep into what this camera is and how it functions and how it does what it does. This video is not a repair one either. It is more about maintenance. So these cameras had a lot of foam light seals in them that break apart with time. This will eventually lead to light leaks in your film and ruin your photographs. And with today's film prices, I think it is very much worth it to spend a couple of hours to make sure that a camera will give you nice results. So today basically we're going to discuss that in this pretty long video. And I hope that you'll find it easy to understand and useful. So enjoy it. Now, let's look at what we have. Under the waist level finder, there is a focusing screen that definitely needs some attention, and we'll get back to it. After that, we get to the mirror, and here you can see the first pair of light seals that I'm going to replace. These light seals prevent the light from entering the camera from the top, especially when the waist level finder is used, and provide shock absorption when the mirror goes up. In all the models of RB67 cameras, these light seals are typically in bad condition and require replacing them as well. Moving to the back of the camera is where you'll spend most of your time. Here we have a film back and a rotating or revolving adapter, which has light seals on both of its sides. These light seals go to the film back, and these ones are facing the camera body. So this is the common thing with these light seals. They rot, they fall apart, and they stick to the body instead of staying on the adapter itself. And now, the film back. To be honest, this is the thing that gives me nightmares in terms of replacing light seals, simply because there are so many of them and it requires a lot of time to deal with them. Basically, you need your film cassette to be sealed from all the sides, so it stays light sealed. And it's not just about the quantity of them, but also the way you apply these light seals, because in some places they need to be quite thin, and it is not always really comfortable to work with them and to put them into place. Like here, for example, this is the cassette, and you can see that light seals are fitted in this thin groove that you have to work with. But, it is something that just should be done. A quick word before we start. I just want to point out that you should have a proper amount of space on your desk or whatever you're working on, so that your life just will be a little bit easier. And by the way, there will be mistakes in this video, and I will point them out. Okay, the first light seals are mirror light seals. So these light seals are on each side of the mirror. Basically, there is nothing super complicated, it's just being careful, remove old light seals, in this case it is foam, then clean the place, and then apply new light seals. As basic as that. And here you can see me using tweezers and this dental pick, whatever it is called. A better thing to do would be to use a wooden stick, so that you don't accidentally scratch the mirror. This mirror is very delicate. Yeah, you can work with metal tools around it, but you should be extremely careful, because it is a first surface mirror and it is really easy to damage permanently. So old light seals are removed, and the next thing will be to clean the place before we apply new light seals. In this case, I use tweezers with some cotton, then soak it with alcohol. In my case, it is 100%, I think it is better to use 70% alcohol. I clean the place a couple times, every time with a new cotton ball, and when I see that it's clean enough, I go to the second one and pretty much do the same. You can see some scratches on the frame. It doesn't really affect anything, because new seals will be on top of it, but definitely a wooden stick would do a better job. And speaking about things that could be done better, you should use a separate paper tissue to clean your tools from old foam, because it is sticky, it sticks to everything that it touches, and at some point you can find your hands, your tools, the camera to be covered with this stuff. As you can see here, by the way. So now I measure the dimensions of new light seals. These dimensions are roughly 70 mm in length, and in width it is 6 and 4 on different sides, as you can see. So I decided to cut a rectangle first and then cut it in 2 pieces. So the rectangle is 70 by 10, and being ahead of myself a little, I'll tell you that there is a tiny mistake with this. If I would have to do this one more time, it would be around 75 mm or maybe even 80, and the reason I will explain a bit later. So what is this foam? This is a self-adhesive foam, as far as I remember 2 mm in thickness. It is made by a Chinese company, E-Tone. It is not the best light seal foam that you can find, but for me it gets the job done. So the first thing that I did is I cut out a rectangle, then I cut it in 2 pieces that I need. And now you can see that I'm just taking a look at how they will fit in the camera. And also making some marks to cut little pieces that are left to cut out. And here is yet another example of what can be done better. It is definitely easier to cut against a hard piece of wood, for example, instead of a rubber pad. It is not really comfortable, and I will soon realize that during this repair. And here is the final look at how it will fit, and it will look like this. And the same goes for the second seal. After that, we are pretty much ready to apply them. This foam is self-adhesive, and I like to peel off a small portion of it, just not to mess up everything at once. So if something goes wrong, I can take it away and apply the correct way. Here is why I mentioned previously about not 70 mm in length, but around 75, because the light seal should cover the whole length of the frame on which the mirror lays. So you can see that I'm aligning it with the mirror, while in reality it should go deeper to the back of the camera. It still works fine, but it is something that, again, can be done better. So after I'm halfway there, I peel off the rest of the paper, and slightly pushing with tweezers, I'm putting it into its place. And the same procedure goes for the second strip. Peel off the paper, adjust it, press in lightly, not damage the mirror, and you'll be fine. And here you can see that is just a tiny bit not enough to cover the full frame that it is pressing into. So again, going back to the dimensions, I would suggest going with 75. You can cut to 80 millimeters and then cut off the leftover piece. Remember me talking a lot about being careful with the mirror? I was very careful with it actually. But at the very end, I eventually scratched the mirror. Yeah, I was extremely angry about myself. It is not the end of the world. Oh, hello. Never seen me before, right? My ugly It is not really the end of the world. You will never see that scratch on your photographs or even in your viewfinder. But it is such a stupid thing to do when you know about it. And this is basically the point, maybe one of the points of this video, is to show the whole process. Not just about how easy it is to maintain your camera, but also how easy it is to mess up. Again, not the end of the world, but nevertheless, these are simple mistakes that you can avoid. So, we've made it to the back of the camera. As I said, on the back of the camera body, there should be no light seals. And the one that you see is actually from the adapter that's stuck to the body. The procedure is pretty much the same. Cleaning and more cleaning. You scrape it off and then you clean with alcohol. And again, I'm using a metal tool, but a better thing would be to scrape it off with a wooden stick or a plastic stick or something like that, that is softer. So you leave less marks on the camera. In this case, everything went good, no additional damage, and we are good to move to the adapter. Again, a wooden stick would be better, but that is something that I will remember after an hour in this process, or maybe even more. Then I clean the surface with alcohol and prepare it to apply the new light seals. Through the course of this video you can see my personal development. Now I know that it is better to cut light seals against something hard, like this wooden block. I cut it by eye to fit in the groove where the light seal should go, or will go. Since I use a big sheet of light seal, I need to cut it into strips, and since there is no way to do that in one pass, I mean one foam strip, I need to cut a few of them. I know it can be done better, everything can be done better. It's just how it went. This is the place where it starts to become more tricky, because the light seals are thinner and they have to fit into this groove, and the sticky part of the light seal catches the sides of the groove and curls a bit, moves a bit, requiring a lot of adjustment, and this just takes a little bit more time to do. And because I need to apply a few strips of this foam, I decided to do joints or overlaps in the middle, avoiding corners, just thinking that it will help a bit. You can see that this process takes a little bit of time and patience, but overall it's not that difficult to do. By the way, consider this an advertisement, but if you own one of the RB67 cameras and you have troubles with how hard it is to rotate your film back, I have a dedicated video on my channel on how to fix that. For me, it was a life changer, because my camera had really hard rotation issues. So yeah, you can check it out. And here's the last strip. And here is the final result. Now we go to the other side, that is facing the film back. And we basically repeat the same procedure that we did with the mirror seals and on the other side of the adapter. I clean it mechanically, then I clean it with alcohol, then I cut the strips to my eye and apply them. In this case, I had this little piece that I cut out and put in. And here is the final result of our efforts, of my efforts, okay. Now let's fit it to the camera, see if everything connects correctly. And it does. So great. And now we have the most entertaining part of this video, and in this process in general, which is the film back. To be honest, I hate doing this, but it should be done. It must be done. And now you can see that I became a little bit smarter and grabbed a wooden stick, but the process in general is pretty much the same. It is important to clean it properly, because this stuff can get onto your film and mess up the shots. Here I could have started applying new light seals onto the door, but I decided to clean everything and only then apply the light seals. When the frame of the film back is clean, we can continue with our film cassette. Again, nothing fancy, just ugly, I would say. Oh man, I'm just sorry. It is a voiceover. Obviously, I'm not doing this talking while doing the repair or the maintenance part. You know, I'm struggling a bit because my English is still not as good as I would like it to be. Sometimes it's just a lack of confidence. Sometimes you're just super tired. And other times I struggle with vocabulary. What I'm trying to say now is not really about the video or repair or how you call it. It is just that, you know, I become so concentrated on what I want to say or important moments like this one when in order to get into this tiny thin groove, I use a small pieces of cotton disc, soak it in alcohol so it, you know, fits into the groove, and then I sharpened the wooden stick a bit to be able to get there. Yeah. Otherwise, the same procedure, just cleaning everything up. Okay, so now the same thing about the strips. I guess it is only one thing that is important here, besides everything I already told you. So before you put these strips into the grooves, you should soak them in alcohol. What that does, it deactivates the glue or the sticky side of the foam for some time. And when alcohol evaporates, it activates back and becomes sticky. It's just a good advice while we are here. Because I remember my first time replacing these light seals in my RB67 and it was a nightmare. Yeah, so I'm really happy that there are people that still put repair videos onto YouTube, write articles about it, and it is really valuable for us to have. So that is basically the reason why I'm sharing this. Because somebody else shared it with all of us. And the more knowledge we have, the better it is for us and for film community. Yeah. Yeah, thank you for listening to this monologue. And if you're still here for some reason and still listening, I highly appreciate that. And I want to hug you. Well, maybe that was a little too much, but nevertheless. So let's continue with our camera. For the door part of the film back, I didn't use the soaking technique only in one place because the gap is not as narrow and it is, I would say, it is much easier to work in this place than, you know, trying to fiddle in a thin light seal. By the way, the only light seal that I do not mention in this video is in film back, in the Darkslide slot, a thin window where the Darkslide goes in. To be honest, I forgot about it when I was doing this video, but since I already mentioned it and I want to fill this gap, it will be added, so stick to the end. And another thing that I want to mention is that I replaced light seals in this film back only in places where they were installed previously. But in another film back, the seals near the Darkslide were placed differently, in all four corners, as you can see here. And I guess this way the film is even more protected from light. Now we have everything done. All the light seals are in their places. No light leaks. Finally, our camera is ready to go. and take amazing photographs, which the world will see or will not see. But there is still one thing that I didn't really know if I want to deal with. And that is the focusing screen, particularly these guidelines. They are for your vertical framing. And this is also a pretty common thing with Mamiya RB67 Pro and ProS cameras. I don't know the exact reasons for this, I guess due to temperature and humidity, but with time these guidelines, they melt a bit and move to the sides, so it becomes not particularly pleasant to look at in the viewfinder. And I decided that I want to give it a try. So, there are two brackets that hold this assembly. On the top you have a protective glass with that framing guidelines, and on the bottom you have what you see here is a focusing screen itself. First of all, be extremely careful with it, because this bottom surface is actually what gives you the image that you see in the viewfinder, because basically it is a ground glass and a Fresnel in one piece, so be really careful with it. And now to the glass, to our guidelines or frame lines, which help you to compose your shot, your photograph in the viewfinder when your film back is in vertical orientation. Initially, I didn't know how I will apply new lines, so I decided to use a permanent marker on the very edge of the glass to see if it works, if it sticks at all, and it does. It does work. It cannot be easily wiped with my finger, but with some alcohol it wipes pretty easily. So yeah, I just decided to go with it. For me, this procedure was pretty simple, but pretty scary at the same time, because I didn't want to ruin the focusing screen. So I cleaned the old residue and took a sharp blade to remove what remained from the old lines, and it turned out to be pretty easy as well. Then I marked the original places where these lines were before they slided to the side. Then I decided to do another test with a permanent marker on the very edge of the protective glass and see if it works or not, and it did work. So I decided to do it. I cleaned the last pieces of old lines, cleaned the surface with alcohol, and then with dry piece of cotton disc, and then with paper tissue, and then microfiber cloth. To be honest, this was scary, but it worked. And now it's just a matter of putting everything together. No scratches this time. Lesson learned. The only thing that kinda concerns me is that with time, this permanent marker can transfer to the focusing screen. At the time of recording, this didn't happen. Will it happen in a few years? Maybe it will, maybe it will not. But with every repair that you do yourself, there is a risk. And yes, speaking about risks and mistakes, I'd like to quickly talk about a few that I've made here. So the first one is you should use paper tissue for old foam, not on your table or working place. The second thing, use a wooden stick, do not scratch the mirror, and also you should cut longer than 70 millimeters. And I guess the final one would be maybe better materials. The only light seals that I can think of are maybe Japan Hobby Tool that makes them. I think you can find them on their website or eBay as well. But yeah, I think that's it about how to replace light seals in your Mamiya RB67 Pro and ProS camera. And if we are talking about the revolving adapter, the same goes for the Pro SD as well, because in that camera the revolving adapter has foam light seals as well. And that's it, that's the video. I'm not used to asking to like my videos or, to subscribe, but if you find it somehow useful for you, you may leave it a like, even subscribe to this channel. Sometimes I do post videos, once in a while, let's say that. So, thank you again for being here, and if you watched to this very point, I'm honored to have such a viewer, and I highly appreciate that. But before you go, I want to tell you a small spoiler for the video that will come, I hope it will come, on a small modification, and by the way, really cheap one, that will pleasantly change your shooting experience. And I think it will be very interesting for Mamiya RB67 ProS or ProSD users. So stay tuned. I have a lot of videos that I recorded on repairing different models. It's just that it's not the easiest thing to live in Ukraine, but I promise you I'll do my best. But anyways, take care of your gear, take care of yourselves, and see you next time. So where is the light seal for the Darkslide? In order to get to it, you need to unscrew these 11 screws and take the lid away. When you take off the lid, be careful not to lose this tiny spring. Now it's back into its place. So the seal is a springy metal strip with a piece of flannel. This is the material that I wanted to use, but the old one still works fine, so I did not replace it. It is self-adhesive as well, so just cut it to size and replace if you need. Now put everything together and you're good to go. Thank you for watching.